Hi friends, my name is Arunesh and I am a data scientist. In this tutorial, we will be continuing our Pyspark tutorial playlist where we have already discussed about data frames. So in this video, I'll be covering basic data frame operations. So let's get started. So this is our Google Colab notebook and here we will be discussing how to select, add, drop and rename columns. We will also see how to check the first two rows with the help of either dot show or dot head. But before jumping into data frame operation, we will first need to install Pyspark. So for that, we can use this particular syntax, which is pip install. And guys, I've already explained these steps in my previous tutorial, so please go through it if you have not. As the PySpark has been installed, the next step is to initiate start a Spark session. So for that, we can use this particular syntax where we are importing a Spark session module, and with the help of this module, we are able to create a Spark session. Now let's read the dataset. So for reading dataset, wait, let me write here. So for reading dataset, we can use this particular syntax, which is spark dot read dot option, where it says header true dot option infer schema true to CSV, and then we can give the name of the path. Since our CSV file is in Google Drive, we will need to first connect this Google Notebook with the Google Drive, and then we can then give the path of that CSV file. So for that, for connecting, we can go to this left panel, and in that left panel, we can go to files. Then there's an option which says mount drive. So we can click on it, and we can click on it as well. What will happen, this is going to connect our notebook with the Google Drive. Once it happens, there is another folder that is going to appear here. So if you can see, we have another folder which is drive, and on going inside it we have my drive, and when we go we have this particular notebook. This is all we want, and we can simply go to this option and copy the path from here, and we can do some copy paste, and we can save it inside a variable which is tf. Let's close this particular window. So once we run it, we would be able to read the dataset, and we can see it using dot show here. As you can see, these we have three columns here: student name, age, marks. Now the next point is to select column. For that, we can simply give select, and we can use df dot select, and we can simply give the name of column here, which is student name, and do dot show. Once we do that, it has given us a column. Let's also check the data type. Let's also check the type of this particular syntax. We can see here that it is returning us a PySpark data frame. If you remember, in pandas, we also used to get a column by simply doing df and student name. Let's see if it works in PySpark. It worked, but it is returning a column. Let's also check the type of this particular select method. Okay, it is returning us a PySpark column. Okay, so that is the reason we won't be using this particular syntax here, because it returns a column. But we want a data frame with one column. Why? Because data frame has more functionalities and methods associated with it. Now, if we want to select multiple columns, we can simply do this. We can give it a square bracket here, and then we can add another column, which is age. So instead of giving just one column, we have given it a list of columns to select. On doing select, okay, it has selected two columns now. So now let's look at how we can add a new column in PySpark. So suppose I want to create a new column which is revised marks. Let's name it revised marks, and here we will be giving the condition. So let's select a column here which is marks plus 5 dot show. Once we do that, we will see that we have added one more column which is revised marks. What we said is, okay, whatever the marks is, add 5 to it and create a new column. So 80 became 85, 90 became 95. But guys, just to remind you that these are not in place operations, that means it is not going to make any changes in the original data frame. For that, what we can do is we can create a new data frame. Let's create a new data frame here and call it df underscore revised, and let's save it in a variable. As you can see, we have saved it in a variable and also did dot show here. Now let's look at how we can drop a column in PySpark. For that, we can use this particular data frame, which is df underscore revised and dot drop. We can simply give the name of that column that we want to drop. Suppose we want to drop marks here because we have already got revised marks. And let's also save it in a variable. Let's call it df dot uh, final columns and do dot show here. On doing that, we will see that this marks column has been dropped. Now let's look at another command, which is to rename the column, or we can also rename multiple columns at once. So to rename the column, we will need this per df underscore final underscore columns. We can simply use this with column renamed function here. Now let's look at the parameters of it. So for looking at the parameters, we can simply click on this shift plus enter. When we do that, okay, so it is taking two parameters, the name of existing column, comma, the name of new column. So the name of existing column is revised marks and the name of new column is final marks. So we are simply renaming the revised marks to final marks. And let's save it in a variable as well. Let's call the final as df underscore final and do dot show here. So as you can see here, the name of the column has been changed. Now, if I wanted to just see the two rows, what we can do is we can give a parameter or two or three or how many rows you want to see inside that dot show method. Right now, if you see, instead of showing all the rows, it is just showing us the top three rows. Now, at last, I wanted to give you an introduction of how we can use or how we can execute SQL queries in PySpark. Go to the cell, use this particular syntax which says spark.sql, and inside that we can write our SQL query. Select star from table, and we can also either save it in a variable or we can simply have it in we can let's give it df.sql, and then with the help of this we can do certain operations on it. So those are the things that I wanted to cover in this video, guys. Here we learned few basic operations. These are pretty much handy when you start working on data analysis. In the later videos we will be discussing about complex data frame operations. Till then, stay safe and happy learning. Thank you.